Good afternoon, everyone. Here are a few words from our sponsors and partners. 𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐵 translates the best Korean. 𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐵 translates the best Korean literature to English, so make sure to check out their books. The book Yearning for Home While I'm at Home is still at 40% off while in pre-order until May 5 on their website, apopbooks.com. For an additional 7.5% off, don't forget to use the code 𝐊-𝐃𝐫𝐸. Meanwhile, the books 1 and 2 of True Beauty are still available in their website and Shopee and Lazada stores. Hello everyone! How are you all on this pleasant Friday afternoon? You guys can comment how you are feeling right now. Finally, it is the end of the week and the weekend once again. We are delighted that you have chosen to spend your Friday with us. Today is the official start of the second Philippine-Korean Youth Forum. Today's keynote lectures are for the Arts and Media track. This session is live on Facebook and on YouTube. Feel free to comment questions on the comment section anytime during the lectures, and we'll be answering those during the open forum later on. For everyone who is streaming this and would like to share it on our social media accounts, please use the hashtag PKYF2022, hashtag #UPArirang, and hashtag Bridging the Gaps. Also, don't forget to tag 𝐿-𝐃𝐫𝐸 in your posts. Before we begin, we would like to thank our dear sponsors and partners. PKYF is presented by 𝐿-𝐃𝐫𝐸. It is co-organized together with UP Korea Research Center, Pinoy Scholars sa Korea, Association of Filipino Educators in Korea, Busan University of Foreign Studies, United Korean Community Association in the Philippines, and the Office of International Linkages Diliman. It is made possible by APOP, JK Network Services, DOHE Philippines, HiLocal, and the Philippine Embassy in Korea, in cooperation with AGA Korean Talk, Tourism Promotions Board Philippines, and In Korean Podcast. This event would also not be possible without our major partners, LaSallian Student Ambassadors, Blue Hanguk Society, and UP DEBAC. Our minor partners are Anyong PNU, DEBAC UPM, UE International Studies Society. We are promoted by the Korean Cultural Center in the Philippines, and this event is also brought to you by Inquirer.net. Now let us officially kickstart our keynote lecture with a dazzling performance to energize everyone in these keynote lectures. What you're about to witness is the unholy mix between Travis' passion for K-pop and newfound pursuit of home-style makeshift musical bliss. Travis hopes to grow as an artist and a language student as he builds more covers along the way. More importantly, he wishes to bring people together while leaving fun memories rent-free in the minds of his audience forever. Let us give a warm applause to UP Arirang's very own Travis Argayosa.
Coucou. What is love? 매일같이 영화 속에서 나 책 속에서 나 드라마 속에서 사랑을 느껴 사랑을 배워 내일처럼 자꾸 있음이 더 드근드근거려 설레임을 부풀라 궁금해서 미칠 것만 같아 언젠가 내게도 이런 일이 실제로 일어날까 그게 언제쯤일까 어떤 사람일까 I wanna know 사탕처럼 달콤하다는데 하늘을 나눌 것 같다는데 I wanna know no 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 What is love 사랑이 어떤 느낌인지 하루 종일 웃고 있다는데 I wanna know 세상이 다 아름답다는데 I wanna know no 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 What is love 언젠가 나에게도 사랑이 올까 울어도 돌려만 봐도 가슴이 터질 것 같은데 이렇게 좋은데 만일 언젠가 진짜로 내게 사랑이 올 때 난 울어버릴지도 몰라 정말 궁금해 미칠 것만 같아 언젠가 내게도 이런 일은 실제로 일어날까 그게 언제쯤일까 어떤 사람일까 사탕처럼 달콤하다는데 하늘을 나눌 것 같다는데 I wanna know no 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 What is love 사랑이 어떤 느낌인지 하루 종일 웃고 있다는데 세상이 다 아름답다는데 I wanna know no 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 What is love 지금 세상 어느 곳에 살고 있는지 도대체 언제쯤 나 만나게 될런지 언제 어떻게 우리의 인연은 시작될런지 모르지만 느낌이 어쩐지 진짜 좋을 것 같아 왠지 영화 드라마보다 더 멋지 사랑이 올 거야 내일 가문제나 맞지 어서 나타나봐 나는 다 준비고 있지 어디 있을까 찾아낼 거야 어디 있을까 보고 싶어 죽겠어 잡을 수 사탕처럼 달콤하다는데 하늘을 나는 것 같았는데 no 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 사랑이 어떤 느낌인지 하루 종일 웃고 있다는데 세상을 다 아름답다는데 no 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 언젠가 나에게도 사랑이 올까
such an amazing performance. Thank you to our very own Travis for gracing us with your talent this PKYF 2022. I feel like it was good enough to make you the next member of Twice. Don't you all agree? But of course, because this is the very first day of PKYF 2022, there is another performance waiting for us. Revel Up, a group composed of Hallyu members NG, CE, Jam, Addy, and Shella, who all come from the same buddy family. We all share a passion for dancing and K-pop and have come together to showcase their charms as they cover the songs of Red Velvet. May I present to you Hallyu Revel Up.
날카로운 씻고 둘러싼 얘긴 페이 속에 점점 더 깊은 허허허쉬 맘을 켜놔 이제 여긴 온통 어두운 밤하늘색 그림자조차 길을 잃게 해 난 항상 love be skin 쉽게 즐기는 친구 모두 소리쳐놔 정말 문제야 I'm fine 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 피카피카 게임 멈추고 너를 다시 보게 돼 무섭지 않아 난 새로운 얘기가 펼쳐질 거라는 걸 방금 느꼈으니까
I feel like that performance really brought up the spirits of our forum. Thank you, Level Up, for performing for us today. And now I am pretty sure that all of us can no longer wait. This is what you have all been waiting for. Let us start the keynote lecture, starting with our first speaker, Dr. Eric Capistrano. Sir Eric Paulo Capistrano is the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Centennial Professor of Business Administration of the University of the Philippines, Cesar E.A. Virata School of Business. He is also the principal investigator of the University of the Philippines Career Research Center. He obtained his PhD in International Management from National Cheng Kung University, Taiwan ROC. His academic and professional experience covers topics in operations management, management of innovation, management of information technology, and the Korean Wave, with international and national research publications such as in Computer, in Human Behavior, International Journal of Human-Computer Interactions, International Journal of Market Research, Asian Journal of Social Science, and others, and with guest speaker and interview engagements in both private and public sectors. Lastly, he serves as a forum moderator for Socified, one of the biggest and longest-running international fan forums for the K-pop girl group Girls' Generation, and an admin for the country chapter Socified Philippines. To discuss the expansion of K-pop and K-drama's reach during the COVID in the Philippines, let us all welcome Dr. Eric Capistrano.
Okay, so thank you very much for that one. Introduction. Yeah. Thank you so much for that one. So I hope everybody is raring to go, and thank you for spending your Friday afternoons today to participate in this wonderful event that would prove to be very informative. Yes, as far as our understanding of Korean culture is concerned, and how we Filipinos and others who are watching as well will learn from. So if I could just now have my slides ready. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so the title of this talk is obviously coming from the title of my favorite girl groups. Debut single. We're going to look at into the new digital world. So I'll be sharing to you some of my insights regarding how K-pop and K-drama reach has expanded in the Philippines, especially during this pandemic that we had. Okay, so to start things off, our agenda for this afternoon will be threefold. So the phenomenon, where we currently at, the scope and scale, and how big and deep it can actually be, and closing remarks that what can we draw from all of these things. So to start us off, okay, with the phenomenon, okay, so where are we currently at? So at the end of 2020, during the first year of the pandemic, we know, and we have observed a huge increase in the number of K-dramas that was made available to us through various streaming sites, notably Netflix. So what you're seeing here is, in 2020, what we watched here in the Philippines across the different categories. This is coming from Netflix itself. So coming from across different categories, K-dramas have been, and other Korean-related content have been dominating. Yes. So aside from this purple wedge that you see here on K-dramas alone, which included The King, Eternal Monarch, Kingdom Season 2, Startup, It's Okay to Not Be Okay, and Record of Youth, we can also see that other Korean content such as Itaewon Class, Blackpink Light Up the Sky, okay? And then we also have their Train to Busan, okay? And then we have and then we have also upcoming as well, as a result of Netflix's popularity with K-dramas. Soon to have we're soon going to have a Korean adaptation of Money Heist. So as we can see here, even the first year of the pandemic alone, many of us have turned to Korean dramas for us to cope with the pandemic, and we've been there and done that over and over again. And then as we observe, like 2 years later, and this is just like last week. This is my screenshot of my own Netflix account. You can see that how many Korean content have made it to the top 10. Trend, top 10 in the Philippines today as far as Netflix content is concerned. We have Business Proposal, for instance, which just recently finished. 25-21 as well. That's recently finished. Okay. How many of us here anticipated the endings of these dramas one after the other? Okay. Same with Forecasting Love and Weather as well. Right? Okay. And then of course also 39, okay, which also it's one of my favorite dramas that I've watched. I literally stayed up late during Wednesday and Thursday nights just to catch the episodes. So definitely Korean content has come a long way since the pandemic began, and time and again we know that it has dominated much of streaming platforms here in the Philippines. Okay? And it's not only that. In terms of the recommendations, again, screen capping from my own Netflix interface in terms of TV shows and movies. How many of the recommendations here are Korean content? And so so even if we've gone through a lot already, there's still more for us for Korean content to offer to us. Okay? So and despite the latest news that Netflix's subscription rates have been declining, and the news affected their stock prices, there's still a lot of content to wade through as far as Korean dramas and also K-pop is concerned. So we now go to the scope and scale on like how big and deep it can actually be. So what makes them popular? Okay? So we've all read the reasons. Okay? Like the time and again through different media outlets, through different academic articles, through different documentaries. Okay? K-dramas strike a balance of predictability and originality. Okay? We know that. Okay? We know that they have a very high production values. Okay? So we know that for K-pop, okay, it's all about the catchy music, visual aesthetics, and musical diversity. That's very appealing to many people. And as we know, K-pop idols are incredible performers. And because of all of these high value, okay, high value and high quality production and distribution outputs that we have with K-pop and K-drama, you can see also at the other side that fans, okay, fans of these different Korean content take these very, very seriously. Okay? The two performances we saw a while ago is but a glimpse of what we can do to demonstrate how serious we are when it comes to us consuming, okay, and fanboying, fangirling, stunning, okay, our broadcasting our love, okay, for K-pop and K-drama. But for this afternoon, let's take it a step further. Okay, so because these reasons we already know, okay, and they've been repeated time and again. Okay, but for today, okay, for this afternoon's talk, let's try to take it a step further. Sure, diba? Okay, let's ask ourselves. Okay, let's ask ourselves. And if you want to chime in the chat boxes, in your respective chat boxes in Facebook and YouTube right now, okay, okay, let's try to ponder, no? Like, sure, it hooks us. Yeah, it hooks us. But what makes us stay hooked? Right? What makes us stay hooked? What makes us, diba? What makes us continuing to spend, diba? Countless nights, okay, losing sleep just to watch the latest episodes. Okay? What makes us always tune into the latest releases? Okay? What makes us stay? Okay? What makes us stay and put our lives on hold whenever, let's say, our favorite K-pop idol goes on Instagram Live? Okay? So what makes us stay hooked? Okay? Because that's the more important thing that we ask ourselves. Okay? What makes us dive deeper into it? Okay? Some of us more willingly than others. Okay? So so these are the two questions that we will be touching on, okay, as we go with the rest of this talk. So consider this journey. Okay? Consider this journey of a typical K-pop drama fan. Okay? So okay, where does he or she get get the content? Okay? Let's say we start with Netflix. Okay? So Netflix is the most common one. Okay? So we watch a couple of dramas here and there. Okay? We anticipate the next episodes, or if the full series is already up, we binge watch it. And then that would lead, okay, the thing is like that would lead us to other content, maybe some behind the scenes, okay, footage, okay, behind the scenes footage that is available in YouTube. Okay. And specifically for Netflix, there is this YouTube channel called The Swoon that do give us that extra content, okay, behind the scenes content. Yes, and other things like sometimes some of the more popular shows that Netflix originals, okay, or Netflix co-produce, okay, have the cast, okay, go into special content, okay, just to do some fan service, okay, on The Swoon. Okay. And then of course because of that, okay, we repeat, okay, rinse and repeat, okay, rinse and repeat with that one. But that's not the only route that we take. Probably we go to VU. Okay, probably we go to VU as well, okay, to watch other shows. Okay, for the VU is also like there's a lot of variety shows, Korean variety shows aside from dramas. Okay, that are on their platform. Okay, so and then of course we get curious with Spotify. Say now, Our Blues. Okay, one of the latest Korean dramas that is on Netflix. It will release its OST soon, okay? And one of the artists, okay, who is going to be there is a member of Bangtan Songyudan. Okay, so people are anticipating the soundtrack, okay? And this obviously will be also released on Spotify. Okay? And the same is true. But like in VO, we also like VO. Okay? We watch some content. We go to YouTube. We go to Spotify. Okay? We go to Spotify as well. Okay? And then the more that we get curious, the more that we try to get news. Okay? News now, we want to get updated with the latest in our favorite Korean actors or K-pop artists. Then we go to websites like Soompi, okay, for our news, okay, news updates. Okay? And I do recommend Soompi, okay, for English speaking, for English language news about the Korean entertainment. Okay? And then that again fuels, that again pushes more of our of our K-pop fanboying or fangirling, or K-drama fanboying and fangirling. But and then also, diba, a third platform that we can also look at is iQIYI. Okay, so okay, so that's another platform. It have its same effect. Okay, it will have the same effect. And then afterwards, we start creating Instagram accounts, or if we already have, we become active again and start following official Instagram accounts of our favorite Korean celebrities. Some of us may even take it one step further. We start learning the Korean language, okay? And through self-learning apps, say like Duolingo. So this is like just one of the many illustrations of the journey, okay, and before we know it, okay, we already get hooked. Okay, so to further illustrate this kind of journey, okay, and at this point, while I am illustrating an example, I invite everybody who's watching to also try to map out, okay, try to map out what have you been consuming, where, okay, and what led you, okay, where did it lead you into other platforms. So consider this example. Okay, so recently we know that, okay, so okay, Duolingo user din ako. I have to do my review later after this talk. Okay, so consider the super popular drama Crash Landing on You. So, okay, featuring recently married couple Son Ye-jin and Hyun Bin. Okay, pakitaas ang kamay sa mga kinilig. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even mention Weavers and V-Live as well, diba? Yeah. So, pakitaas ang kamay sa mga kinilig, and try to stay updated on Twitter for the latest photos and videos, diba? Okay, so take for example this drama of Crash Landing on You. So when people it's one of the most popular dramas of its time during that year. And of course, it will lead. I would probably lead to, let's say, other dramas of actor Hyun Bin, such as Memories of Alhambra, okay, the one in which he starred with Park Shin-hye. So we can start like after Crash Landing on You, we get curious about Hyun Bin, and therefore, ano kaya iba pang content? Like what is the other content that he had with other actresses, other actors? And then we go back further. Okay, in Secret Garden, okay, in Secret Garden, we're in that famous tracksuit that he wore, okay, back in 2010. Okay, the shiny, shimmering, splendid, okay, a tracksuit that he wore back in 2010 for Secret Garden. And then for Son Ye-jin, same thing. We get curious about her other dramas, so we start going back. Okay, so for example, we probably watch Something in the Rain, okay, with Jung Hae-in, and another famous actor. Okay? And then afterwards, okay, people would also know that she starred in a movie, okay, in 2016, The Last Princess. Yeah, so that's one aspect. That's one good thing about Netflix or streaming platforms. You get to see, you get to explore the other dramas, okay, the other content that celebrities have. In this case, dramas. And okay, just imagine how many episodes. Okay, how many episodes per drama? How many minutes per episode? Okay, that takes a lot of time. So it really hooks us deeply. It really hooks us deeply into the content, similar content, previous content of actors and actresses. But that's not the only thing. Okay, okay, let's go back to Crash Landing on You, and we also know Hyun Bin. Okay, starred in a movie called Confidential Assignment. Okay, Confidential Assignment 2 is coming up also. Okay, so the Confidential Assignment. Okay, so we get curious about that movie. Okay, we get curious about its cast. Okay, and you get curious about its cast. Like, sino yung mga naka-work niya? Like, who are the other actors and actresses in that cast? Okay, Same with Son Ye-jin. Like I said, a recently concluded drama is 39. Soro Lahov. Okay, so and with her is one of my favorite actresses who've ever broke out of the Korean drama scene. John Nido and the rest of the cast of Hospital Playlist. So that could be another thing. So you you start now exploring other actresses, other actors' work. Okay, so it goes on and on. Okay, it goes on and on. Let's dive into that hole, a little bit deeper. Okay, let's dive into that hole a little bit deeper. Okay, so for example, in that cast, let's say in the confidential assignment cast, okay, I want excuse my biases, indulge me here, and indulge me here. Okay, so because in one of the cast members of confidential assignment is of course 𝐊-𝐏𝐸 Imuna. Okay, so when people get curious about who this girl is you start exploring other dramas like her drama with Ji Chang-wook, the K2, okay, her ichi drama, Hush, okay, and then people would know, people would learn that she has her own YouTube channel as well. So you're now exploring other factors or other platforms outside of Netflix. The K2 is on Netflix, Hush is on ichi, and then she has her own YouTube channel. And then people would realize that she is a part of a K-pop girl group known as 𝐊-𝐏𝐸, Girls' Generation. Okay, so and then with that knowledge, the knowledge expands further. Okay, the exploration goes further. Let's now focus on on another member of 𝐊-𝐏𝐸 this time. Okay, 𝐊-𝐏𝐸 leader Kim Taeyeon, who is also one of the most famous soloists, soloists in the world of K-pop. Okay. Okay, you would try to find her music on Spotify. Okay, you would look at the YouTube channel of Girls' Generation. Okay, and for that matter, you also look. You will look on the Spotify playlist of Girls' Generation. Yes, low-key stan Girls' Generation daw. Pagdasal niyo na magkaroon kami ng comeback this year. Okay, especially after yung Coachella performance on 21. Okay. Okay, and then you cycle through all of that content. Okay? But more curiously, I want to make this extension as well. Okay, Kim Taeyeon is a cast member of TVN's variety show Amazing Saturday. Okay, Amazing Saturday. Okay, which is also available on VU to watch. Okay, and this is one of the things that I encourage people to go into as well in terms of exploring K-pop further. Oh yeah, diba? INVU. Okay, so yeah, explore further is that on Spotify there is a playlist. Yeah, there is a playlist for dedicated for Amazing Saturday. Now, Amazing Saturday, if you don't know the show, Amazing Saturday is like a variety game show wherein the cast along with two other guests try to guess the lyrics of songs that they're hearing that is being played during the show. Okay, so and the songs that they're choosing go way back to the 80s, first gen. I'm talking about first gen K-pop here. Okay, and then and for that matter as well, some of the mini games in between the main games, have Korean dramas, movies, and music that even go way back to the 50s, to the 1950s. So watching this show and listening to the playlist, to the Spotify playlist would obviously expand our knowledge that there's more to K-pop than what we're listening to. Okay, that we're even older than HOT. Okay, even older than HOT, you can find content in Amazing Saturday. So so with that, diba, with that journey that we have so far, okay, it doesn't just deepen our exposure to K-pop and K-drama and variety shows, but also widens it. Okay? It's letting us it's making us aware of other artists, other genres and whatnot. Okay? So that's okay. So those are like the long tail and trickle effects that we can see, and that keeps us. And I think that's a good reason why it keeps us hooked. Okay? Why it makes us come back for more. Okay? But other than that, speaking also music, let's go back to the previous. Okay, let's go back to the previous illustration and now focus on one of my all-time favorite dramas, Hospital Playlist. Okay, so in Hospital Playlist, there is a plethora of actors, that are there in the drama, and each of them have an impressive repertoire of previous creative works. Okay, so as a group, you can see clips of the drama, especially in terms of the band performances. Yes, Mido and Palasol. Okay, the band Mido and Palasol. Okay, on Netflix, and this is on the Swoon channel, okay, the Swoon YouTube channel. So all of the performances are there. Okay, okay. And also the soundtrack. Okay, the good thing about Hospital Playlist is that the soundtrack are actually remakes. Okay, all of them are remakes of old Korean songs. Okay, so these are all remakes. So parang obviously you get curious, no? How does the original song sounded? Okay, how does the original song sounded? And then you're gonna look into it as well. Okay. And then the good thing about it is that the directors, yes, Lee Moon-se and Shin Hye-chul, that's so true. Okay, you see, you know now the original artist, and then and it again deepens, okay, it enriches our awareness of what Korean pop music or Korean music, contemporary music is all about. Okay? And then for that matter, the good thing about it is that also the directors, okay, the directors of Hospital Playlist have their own YouTube channel in which all of there's a lot of behind the scenes content, from the casting to the script reading to the filming, and each video is like averaging maybe like 8 minutes to like 30-40 minutes. So again, there's a lot of content. Okay, there's a lot of content for us to consume, and now we're crossing platforms again, from Netflix to YouTube, to Spotify. Okay? So it enriches us, and as I've said, this particular drama has a very impressive cast. Okay? So for instance, actor actor Kim Dae-myung is also in the famous Korean drama Miseng. Okay? Okay? And of course, Miseng has a totally different tone and feel. Okay? It's a far cry from the usual Korean dramas that we know, but and still, it's one of the best dramas that are out there. Okay? Okay. Actor Yoo Yeon-sok is actually in Mr. Sunshine. Okay, so he's in Mr. Sunshine. Okay, actor Cho Jun-sok, okay, is one of the veteran actors, okay, in the veteran actors of the Korean entertainment industry. So like his movies like the Don't Dare to Dream, Don't Dare to Dream. Okay, and trivia, do you know that he is married to singer Gami? Okay. You know that that Cho Jun-sok is the husband of OST queen Gami. And what is Gami's one of the most famous what is Gami's one of the most famous soundtracks, Korean drama soundtracks ever? Okay. Can anyone guess? Okay, just chime in the chat box. And chime in the comment box. Si Gummy. In recent memory, in recent memory. Diba? The soundtrack of the 2015 drama, Descendants of the Sun. Diba? Yung You Are My Everything. Okay. Ayoko kumanta, baka umulan. Okay. Okay. But yeah, so, okay, so yes, exactly. Yeah. So You Are My Everything. So knowing that, then okay, it leads you to another drama, which is again the Descendants of the Sun, and then we can go on and on and on. Diba? We know the dramas of Song Joong-ki. We know the dramas of Song Hye-kyo. Okay? So it then leads us to other content. It can then lead us to other content here. Okay? Other content with that one. Chronicles of Andratal, Vincencio. Diba? And then there's an upcoming one. Again, he has an upcoming one with JTBC, the youngest son of the Chaebol. Okay, so we're gonna be anticipating new drama while watching old content. Okay, so that's the strategy. Okay, that's the strategy that we're seeing here. Okay. So in other words, even with just a couple of we start off with a couple of dramas. The moment we get hooked, the moment we get curious, it leads us to other content. To the point that it's gonna be like probably impossible for us to run out of content. Okay? Assuming, of course, you're not binge watching all the time. Okay? So just to give a couple more illustrations. Okay? A couple more illustrations to further see how deep we are in. Take for example, IU. Okay, sino dito mga mahinas? Okay, are there any mahinas here? Okay, fans of IU. Okay, were you able to watch her concert bago nag-pandemic? Okay, yung first time niya dito. Okay, yung first time niya dito. Okay, we know that she's not just a singer. Okay, yeah, si Jion. Okay, yeah. Okay, we know that she's not just a singer. Okay, she's also she's an actress. Okay, she starred in a couple of dramas. She has her own YouTube channel. Okay, yeah, she has her own YouTube channel. Okay, no money. I can understand that. Okay, yeah. So we know. So it's not just her music that we consume. Yeah, it's also her dramas, and she's been in a number of dramas. Okay, as well. And yeah, we can watch her YouTube channel. Okay, for updated content. Okay, for updated content. Diba nga, yung pa yun, diba? In her YouTube channel, she even highlighted how passionate Filipino fans were. Okay? For Filipino fans were when it comes to it. And it's such a good feeling to be recognized by that. Diba? Even as far as Dream High. Oh, tama ka dyan. Okay, tama ka dyan. At tinanggap na niya yon. Okay, thank you for that one. Okay, I know she has a movie offer. Kaya yung sa movie, I don't, yung pala tinanggap na pala niya yun. Okay. So another example, Kwon Yuri of Son Yoshide. Okay. So we know the thing about Yuri as well is that she's not only a member of a girl group, but she's also a soloist. Okay, like she released a solo album. Okay. She has her YouTube channel, okay, the Yurihan TV. Okay, Yurihan TV. She recently became a mentor, okay, in My Teenage Girl. Okay, My Teenage Girl, yung contest, okay, for a girl group, which I understand they're debuting soon. Okay, and then a drama with NBN, okay, Osam, which recorded, okay, which earned record high ratings, okay, 4% siya. Okay, 4%, and that's huge for MBN. Okay, so that's the point. But many of our K-pop idols as well are delving into multiple contents, and that gives us plenty to chew on. Okay, that gives us plenty to listen, to watch, and repeat. Okay, more importantly, repeat. Okay. So what does this all mean? Okay, at the end of the day, what does this all mean? Okay. So even with these extensive illustrations, okay, we have barely scratched the surface. Pagbalik ni Beck yun. Totoo. Oo nga pala. Yeah, you guys have been clamoring for season 2. Okay, of Scarlet Heart. Yeah, so yan. Yes, so yan. So we have barely scratched the surface, okay, with this one. Okay. So we, as fans and audiences of K-drama and K-pop content, have now so much more material to watch, listen, and consume compared to before. Compared to before, di ba? Compared to before, kahit sabihin mong ilang years na walang comeback ang K-pop, ang favorite K-pop group natin, diba? Kagaya kami. Pero we are, okay, busog naman kami with other content. Okay? Okay, we are so full with other content. We are barely scratched the surface, okay, to be honest. But the common thread here is that technology has created that ecosystem that keeps us coming back for more. A lot of these internet-powered digital technologies has spawned a very complex network in which we can consume different forms of K-drama and K-pop content at our convenience pa. It is in our convenience across different platforms. Unless, of course, your favorite celebrity goes for an Instagram live. Diba? Ibang usapan yon. And then, as I've pointed out here, one content leads to another and others. Okay, it's not just like a progression along one actor or one actress, but it can branch out, okay, to other actors and actresses. Okay? Today's environment has enabled us, okay, to listen, watch, and consume past and present content, okay, which are directly and indirectly related to one another. So, as closing remarks, okay, so what can we draw, okay, from all of these, okay, all of this? Yeah. So for us, diba, okay, for us, okay. Oh, di ba? Oo, totoo yan. Di ba? Nangangapa pa rin sila. Okay, nangangapa pa rin na minsan ang Bantang Sonya Dan sa Instagram live. Totoo. Okay. So it's not just about the light. It's not just about the mainstream. Okay, mainstream. What I mean is that in terms of what is currently airing. Okay. In terms of currently airing, what is currently airing, and in terms of what is currently playing, what's currently released. Okay? Each actor or actress, okay, in a single drama opens doors to his or her other works within and outside the genre. Okay, so yun yung maganda din eh. Like that's the good thing about it. Okay? That's a good thing about it. There's a ton of work. Okay? There's a ton of work that's out there. Okay? And each K-pop artist has a wide range of other works outside of his or her music genre, or even outside of music in general. They're in variety. Okay? They're releasing solo music. They go into acting. They go into musicals, for instance. One of the most impressive, okay, just a tidbit, no. One of the most impressive K-pop idols that I've come across to as well, okay, aside from the ones I've mentioned, is Chinese Key. Okay, believe na believe ako kay Key. Okay, so honestly speaking, I've seen him grown so much. Okay, so yeah, okay. Iba, tsaka yung pati yung personality, okay? Pati yung personality niya. Dio is another one. Yeah, that's true. Okay, Dio is another one. And speaking of shiny, probably so Taemin is another one. Okay. Okay, 'di ba napaka-baby face ni Taemin early days, 'di ba? Oh, ito yung kaka-release lang nung remastered version ng Nunanomo Yepo. Okay, another day. And it reminded me how baby face Taemin looked. Okay? I couldn't believe that this was Taemin and Key, and then compared to what you see now. Heechul is another one. Heechul was actually one of the most versatile that I've seen. As well. But so they have grown outside. Okay. Sa mga K-pop totoo, di ba, nakaka-inspire na mag-cover. Okay, nakaka-inspire mag-cover. I'm glad Onyo's back. Okay? Okay, yeah, di ba, kaka-comeback lang ni Onyo. Okay, so, okay, and yeah, so with that one. So we see them grow, okay, and we see them grow, and let's say with guestings with variety shows, or like permanent casting with shows and whatnot and whatnot. It's something that enriches what we know about our favorite K-drama actors and actresses and K-pop artists. And the best thing about it is that these other works are now easily more accessible, okay, largely thanks to a wide variety of digital technologies. Okay, digital technology. Like just to go outside SM, no. I'm sorry kung puro SM din yung binabanggit ko. Okay. Let's say I have this one faculty member. Okay. I have this one co-faculty okay, na starting to follow Kim Sejong, okay, from Business Proposal. And then I told him, alam mo ba K-pop idol yan? Nagsimula yan K-pop idol. And then ayun na, binobombard ko na siya with her discography. Okay? Yeah, with Gugudan, and even before that, 'di ba, IOI, 'di ba? Okay, so yun. And then but as a soloist, she's very good as a soloist. Okay? Ganda ng boses niya. Okay, but yeah, so that's the point, 'di ba? Like you get exposed to these different things about it. So again, it's not just about the mainstream, okay? Growing number of fans are recognizing that K-pop and K-drama consumption goes beyond what they see in the international mainstream. Okay, I hope more and more fans can also do that. These days, there is basically no excuse not to deep dive into these other works. Okay? Ito pa yung amazing din dito, 'di ba? Parang many people would know Song Ji-hyo from Running Man. Okay, but in fact, she has a lot of acting projects. She has a lot of movies and drama as well. Okay, so that's another thing. Let's say if you're into Running Man, if you're into Running Man, diba? You know that Song Ji-hyo you're gonna know that Song Ji-hyo is an actress. Okay, Kim Jong-kook, diba? Was part of Turbo. Dating nasa grupo si Kim Jong-kook. Okay, and he's a decent singer. Okay, he's a decent singer as well. So again, there's so much to dive into. Okay, there's so much to dive into. So yun. Okay, so I leave you with this quote. Yeah. So if we are deep diving into this, okay, I hope that one of the things that we realize is what director Bong Joon-ho said, okay, in his acceptance speech at the Oscars when Parasite won Best Picture. Right? Like once you overcome that one-inch tall barrier of subtitles, you will be introduced. Okay, you'll be introduced to so many more amazing films. Okay, so many more amazing films. Okay, so yun yung ano doon. That's an amazing thing about it, and I hope that we go beyond the mainstream, diba? Like when we go beyond the mainstream, we get to gradually overcome those barriers, or even to the point some of us will be learning the language, so that we can further relate into the content that we are looking at. So hopefully with this talk, I hope that you can map out. You have the time later on to reflect and map out your own journeys similar to this, and yeah, let's spread the word around. Okay, let's spread the word around as far as like what Korean content through these streaming platforms, through these technologies can offer. Okay, so with that, okay, thank you very much for your attention. Okay, if you have any questions and if you have any inquiries, you can email me there, or you can hit me up. Okay, hit me up on Twitter at RickSNSD. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Capistrano, for your wonderful lecture about the expansion of K-pop and K-drama here in the Philippines during COVID. I like how you made probably all of us realize how being a fan of one song, show, or group leads to another in a seemingly never-ending cycle. I'm sure everyone was able to relate. For our delegates and for our viewers, if you have any questions, you may drop them at the comment section below and have them answered during the open forum later. Before we move on, we would like to invite you to Pinoy Scholars sa Korea's workshop on personal financial planning entitled Steps to a Better Life, Brighter Life, Simple Techniques to Prosperity and Success, to be held this April 24, Sunday at 7 p.m. PST. We'd also like to give special thanks to Dr. Angelita Cruz from the Association of Filipino Educators in Korea, and we'd also like to thank Ma'am Arnelin Torres for being with us today. We will now move on to our second keynote speaker for today, Sir Luis Zuriel P. Domingo. Sir Luis Domingo is a lecturer of history at the University of the Philippines, Baguio. He earned his Bachelor in Arts in History at the University of Santo Tomas and at the verge of concluding his Masters of Arts in History at the same university. Proactive in research, he is a student affiliate member and an early career researcher network member at the University of Sydney Southeast Asia Centre and the London School of Economics and Political Science 𝐊-𝐏𝐸𝐻 Southeast Asia Centre, respectively. He has presented and written works related to the history of nationalism in Southeast Asia, Philippine historiography, and pop culture. He is currently working on various research projects. One of those is a comparative study about cultural nationalism between Korean and Filipino pop music from the 1980s to the present. To share their knowledge about the appropriateness of the adoption of K-pop elements in Pinoy pop groups, let us give a warm applause to Sir Luis Domingo.
Right. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. I also want to recognize, of course, Dr. Capistrano's keynote lecture. It's very informative, and actually, it's kind of similar to my lecture today. Professor Capistrano or Dr. Capistrano already provided some technical terms, some concepts and ideas that is really related to my talk actually. So let me share my screen. So, all right. So I'll control the my presentation perhaps here na lang din without the yeah, okay, better. Okay, again, good evening to everyone and to our delegates and our viewers, of course, who are tuning in on Facebook. And I am grateful to be part of this year's Philippine-Korean Youth Forum and present a keynote lecture in the Arts and Media track. With that, I would like to extend again my appreciation to the organizers of the forum, especially to UP Arirang, and for the invitation and to all our sponsors here in this event. My keynote lecture this evening centers on both Korean and Filipino music. Allow me to use the term Filipino in referring to Filipino with a capital P, Pinor, Pinoy, or Philippine to avoid confusion. But beyond the music itself, I think it is essential that we include and examine both culture's industry and fandom as part of the discussion. How the two popular cultures, Korean and Filipino, are related in the dialogue of globalization, transnationalism, and localization. From this perspective, I tried to title my lecture From Globalization to Localization, the Influence of K-pop on P-pop industry, music industry, and fandom. As a budding historian, my primary specialization, in fact, is on the history, on the idea of nationalism in Southeast Asia. However, my growing interest in studying nations and popular cultures in the age of globalization has drawn me to questions that seem worth asking ourselves nowadays. One of those questions is about the considerable influence and success of K-pop in Southeast Asia, especially in the Philippines. As a millennial born in the mid 1990s, I was part of the generation who was first exposed to the two-edged gifts of globalization. For instance, internet connectivity that made other nations' popular culture more accessible. To share with you, I remember I was in my second year of high school in 2009 when Girls' Generation G and Genie went viral in the Philippines thanks to the increasing access of middle class households to DSL internet and to the birth of YouTube. The same year, Nobody by Wonder Girls, though released a year before in 2008, became a national anthem of local jeepneys and fast food chains. It took a year before K-pop became a staple of local radio shows and music television channels like Mix and MTV Philippines. It was the beginning of the Hallyu in the country, and the rest was history. In 2019, 10 years since G and the Nobody craze, a dance video uploaded on YouTube went viral. Filipino K-pop fans on Facebook and Twitter were exchanging positive remarks about a dance practice video of a Filipino pop group called SB19. What's interesting in SB19's video is the use of K-pop elements familiar to fans or stans. A dance video with a white background, synchronization of the members, and the smooth dance positioning, except that the lyrics of the pop song titled Go Up are in the vernacular Filipino language. According to press releases and news, SB19 is an all Filipino K-pop inspired boy group whose members trained in South Korea. Like K-pop groups managed under the entertainment company, SB19 is managed under a local branch of Korean entertainment company called Showbt. SB19 not only started a trend, but also gave birth to a new branch or let's say subdivision of Filipino pop music in the Philippines. But of course, the rise of P-pop cannot escape the negative statements among Filipinos. In the last 2 years, we have witnessed negative assertions about P-pop. This gives us the main problem, whether this new Filipino pop is copying Korean pop music. May it be yes or no? I argue in this lecture that by tracing the historical roots of K-pop music, we can find similarities to what P-pop is facing today. Thus, provide more clarity concerning our main problem. To guide us in this conversation, I have raised the following sub-questions. What are the historical, cultural, and theoretical origins of K-pop and P-pop? I believe that it takes a good understanding of histories and cultures to avoid grave misunderstandings of the present. How similar is P-pop to K-pop in terms of music, industry, and fandom? What is the future of P-pop in, let's say, copying K-pop? As a Filipino, I also hope to give out learning suggestions about the rise of P-pop based on the success of K-pop music and industry and fandom. Perhaps most of the contents of this lecture are common knowledge to our delegates and audience, especially to those already very familiar with K-pop and P-pop. But I hope that after this lecture and during the discussion later, we have a better understanding of the two cultures and welcome the possibility of opening new avenues of discourse about the two cultures. Take note, however, that in our discussion of K-pop and P-pop, I am pertaining to the latter and the former's association with idol culture. Historically, the foundation and development of K-pop music and culture in general are attributed to the prevalent impact of Western cultural imperialism. Theoretically speaking, Dobo Shim argued that the hegemonic influence of the West, particularly American, subjugated smaller nations like South Korea, from the consumption of media to the universalization of capitalism. Take, for example, South Korea and the Philippines within the Cold War context. Both were under the sphere of political, economic, and cultural influence of the United States. South Korea, however, used such suppression to their advantage and produced something of its own. Simply, globalization, particularly in the realm of popular culture, breeds a creative form of hybridization that works towards sustaining local identities in the global context. K-pop is precisely large in terms of definition, periodization, and context. Musically, modern K-pop had its beginnings in the early 1990s, during the rise of boy band 𝐊-𝐏𝐸 and the Boys. The said group changed the landscape of music and performance showcases in South Korea. The group brought innovations that challenged the ruling musical styles, song topics, fashion, and censorship in Korean music. Idol culture, however, was only introduced in the late 1990s and the early 2000s when K-pop, say, was institutionalized and standardized by entertainment agencies. These agencies and companies recruited and trained potential performer called idols. These idols were put together in groups based on individual and collective qualities. The K-pop industry, together with the government support, took advantage of the growing economies of China and Japan before it was exported to Southeast Asia. Though late compared to China and Japan, K-pop's expansion in Southeast Asia was successful because of familiarity with Korean television dramas. In the Philippines, for instance, Filipino local television channels acquired K-dramas and dubbed them into Tagalog language. These K-dramas were put in primetime slots in the afternoon. Of all the factors that made K-pop successful in its exportation, the internet provided to be the primary motivator for its success in the Philippines. K-pop music, industry, and fandom cultures evolve throughout the years. Musically, K-pop has now adopted musical elements from Europop, American hip hop, Japanese city pop, heavy metal, and even the use of traditional South Asian sounds, and among others. Beyond the music and performances, K-pop idols are active in various industries like modeling and acting. From local to international brands, there was a shift from acclaimed Hollywood actors to K-pop idols as endorsers. But the popularity and success of K-pop music industry should be credited to fandom culture. As the main consumers of K-pop, various industries concerned strategize and adjust accordingly to its demand to satisfy its fans or stans. As of today, K-pop in general continues to evolve based on technological advancements, expanding the reach of K-pop music industry and fandom. A mix of many free and subscription contents like online concerts, reality and variety shows, paid fan club memberships, fan cafes and forums, institutionalized video and photo fan cams, and artist to fan communications, among others, satisfying its fans or stands or what we call the consumers. Now, let's talk about Filipino pop music or P-pop. As I mentioned earlier, the post-independence era of South Korea and the Philippines was closely the same in terms of popular culture progression. Like South Korea, the Philippines gave in to the pressures of Western cultural domination. Here in the country, the Philippines have Western pop music artists or like equals to this Western pop music artists. To cite a few examples, we have a Bee Gees inspired group like the VST and Company. For soloists, the country has the Rick Astley of the Philippines, Mr. Roderick Paulate, often dubbed as the Beatles of the Philippines, the famous Eraserhead band. But musically speaking, their sound is more like the 1980s English rock band The Smiths. Although we often call it OPM, a genre we locally created, but by definition, it's really complicated. The question is, how do we measure its Filipino-ness or its originality to be Filipino? What are the parameters for something to be called OPM? and if it's only localized. This gives us the precursor of how K-pop will be influential in today's Filipino pop music. Filipino pop music entered a stage of stagnation from the early 2000s to the mid 2010s. That almost a decade, we acknowledge the prevalent Western music, dabbling it's either alternative rock, it's hip hop, and R&B. Interestingly, in 2008, the Filipino music industry, through giant entertainment companies, attempted to put up boy bands, recruiting some of Philippines' media rising stars. If you're very familiar with what we call Accelerate, that group, the attempt was a complete failure. First, the K-pop blueprint is still in its experimental stage and rise. Second, Filipinos were still focused on exploring K-pop at the time. Third is the lack of commitment from the giant entertainment companies here in the Philippines like Viva, GMA, and ABS-CBN. Today, P-pop is synonymous with K-pop. As I mentioned at the beginning of this lecture, a Filipino boy band named SB19 was founded by a South Korean company called Showbt. The said company saw the potential of localizing K-pop music in the Philippines because of Filipino fans' enthusiasm for K-pop for more than a decade now. Rather than following the South Korean company's strategy of recruiting Japanese, Chinese, even Thai and Indonesian trainees and members to localize K-pop, Showbt literally imported K-pop in our country. Although the earlier framework of SB19 is entirely K-pop in terms of music production and choreography, what sets them apart is the use of the vernacular or the Tagalog language. In a span of 2 to 3 years, more than 10 K-pop boy groups and girl groups actively exist in the country's music scene. As I have observed, these existing and upcoming P-pop groups started popping up like mushrooms. But allow me to focus only on two groups as case studies for this lecture, namely boy group SB19 and girl group Kaya. Both groups are under the same Korean-led entertainment company, Showbt, for the very reason that the said company was the first to import or successfully localize K-pop here in the Philippines by applying the K-pop blueprint to SB19 and Kaya. First, how is K-pop, P-pop in terms of music and choreography? Let's examine Kaya's pre-debut single titled Kaya with a Y. Listening and dissecting the said track, the melodies, the sound and the music record samplings, the structure, the way of singing, and even the style of rap singing of some verses are based on existing K-pop patterns. For instance, at first listen, the introductory sampling of Kaya has the exact sampling of a song by Sunmi. Surprisingly, according to reports, the song Kaya was produced by Lee Oh-won, a South Korean music producer who had worked with K-pop acts like Stray Kids and Chinese Taemin. Comparing Kaya to other P-pop girl groups' recent singles and performances, Kaya stands out because of two things: the use of familiar K-pop sounds and choreography. SB19, however, is setting new P-pop standards. Compared to their viral single Go Up, which is very pop, the recent song Bazinga is still pop but adopts new elements like hip hop and is more expressive and stronger. Like how BTS evolved from Blood, Sweat, and Tears to Dynamite, SB19 follows the same path. SB19, as the first successful P-pop group, needed to evolve and set more standards for future groups. But I believe, and based on the development of K-pop in recent years, new P-pop groups may continue following the K-pop blueprint, perfecting it, and by then it can set its standards. Apart from music, as I mentioned about the amount of content, For fun consumption, SB19 and Kaya are investing in content production. Following the K-pop blueprint, you have dance practice videos, concept teasers, live performances, self-produced variety shows, vlogging, and more live singing performances, collaborations among others. To test if localizing K-pop blueprint here in the country is successful is to look for fans or stans engagement and patronization of P-pop groups. Surprisingly, SB19's popularity and success in the country are not limited to our borders. Through the help of social media platforms like Twitter and YouTube, SB19 was able to make noise regionally and globally. In April 2021, journalist Jeff Benjamin announced that SB19 was nominated at the 2021 Billboard Music Awards for Top Social Artist. SB19 was the first ever Filipino group to get a major nomination on a famous award show that most Asian artists aspire to. According to Benjamin, the nomination was a major moment for the country's music scene. The nomination would not be possible without the massive social media engagement done by SB19's fandom called Atin or 18. As of today, SB19 social media followers are less than 600,000. That's a tiny fragment compared to various K-pop groups. But looking at the nomination alone, it proves that fandoms are crucial in the K-pop and the P-pop's popularity and recognition. However, these efforts are not enough. Remember that the most significant lever for K-pop's globalization is the South Korean government's support for K-pop as part of various soft power waves. Likewise, the Philippine government should invest in and promote these industries. Now, we go back to our main question. Is P-pop copying K-pop? The answer is no. We must understand that cultures are dynamic, and that include popular cultures. P-pop, however, clearly adopted the K-pop blueprint. That's why SB19 and Kaya are gaining attention because they adopted this blueprint. But the use of the vernacular language or Filipino makes P-pop distinctive. In addition, we must also realize that both cultures, K-pop and P-pop, can coexist together. And to be honest with you, based on personal experience, I would not appreciate P-pop if not I were not an avid listener or a K-pop fan. My exposure and individual experience with K-pop music and various fandom cultures have made significant impact on the emergence of P-pop. The growing industries and fandoms of P-pop are something to look forward to. As a final note, not only as a concluding statement, perhaps also a great opportunity to propose some thoughts. If there were any observers from the P-pop industry in our viewers for the benefit of our P-pop industry. The success of SB19 that it enjoys today is not based alone on their capacity to deliver great performances and their fans' blistering enthusiasm, but because of show BT's importerization or localization of K-pop blueprint in the country. Remember that Filipinos' familiarity with K-pop sounds and choreography became leverage for the initial virality of SB19's Go Up. According to London-based Filipino linguist Ruani Tupas, who has also done a great deal of study on P-pop, the use of local languages is certainly vital for Filipinos' patronization of P-pop. I think it's high time for our local televisions to and radios, for instance, to cater more P-pop content. I am not suggesting that we abandon our OPM and the other genres, but let's take advantage of P-pop's rising popularity. P-pop should go mainstream and expand various industries. As I mentioned earlier, it is not limited to music alone. And this is also based on Professor Capistrano's lecture. But we should answer the consumer's wish and demand. Like K-pop, an expansion of P-pop industries could provide more jobs, contribute to the economy, and bring on, this is no pun intended, but to bring on to the next level of Filipino music. And if you want to learn more about my initial findings on the relationship between K-pop in the Philippines and the question of nationalism, you can scan the QR code, and this leads you to my publication, Asia Review of Seoul National University. And I hope everyone here who is really a fan of K-pop, let's give P-pop a try. Let's try to listen to P-pop and also support our own local industry. Again, thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to the questions later, to the comments from our delegates and audience in the Q&A. And salamat at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you, Sir Domingo, for sharing to us your thoughts about the appropriateness of adopting K-pop elements in Pinoy pop groups. What I got from your session was P-pop is different from K-pop and it has its own identity. Hopefully, we can all grow and support. Hopefully, this can grow and we can all support this growing industry. And that concludes the keynote lecture from our two speakers for today. We hope that all of our delegates have learned something and gained insights from our great speakers. Now, let us open the floor for questions from our delegates and viewers. You may send your questions through the link sent in our live chat. Please be sure to identify who your question is addressed to. You may also utilize the thumbs up feature on Menti to upvote the question so it may be addressed by our speakers. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's a question already for Sir Domingo. Yeah. Yeah.
This is actually oh, furthermore, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, really say not a big issue, but remains a trendy topic among K-pop groups. Laging inaabangan ano yung themes, ano yung concepts on the songs, di ba? And if I am to cite one group here, is of course BTS. One of the most popular group now is BTS. If you compare yung themes or yung concepts nila with their earlier songs, talaga nag-evolve. May mga stages. And I think almost all K-pop groups naman are like that. Nag-evolve talaga yung concept. Because you can't remain with bubbly concept. Kunwari, kaka-debut mo lang. You're a very young group. You have this fresh concept. You have this bubbly concept. Hindi naman pwede na nandun ka lang. Pero meron naman din tayo mga groups na mabilis na nagpalit agad. Take for example, if you're familiar with girl group Luna, you have different concepts with different subunits. Then you have the debut single of the group, 𝐿-𝐏, which is very sobrang saya na it's really bubbly, very active. Tapos biglang unti-unti nagpapalit. You have Butterfly, then you have So What, and biglang then you have Paint the Town, the most recent. Biglang naging edgy or naging strong. Mabilis na nagpalit. Then you have many groups in K-pop na nag-evolve pa rin yung pag-explore nila on concepts. Now with P-pop, I think it's the same. We can copy that kind of blueprint. Napansin ko naman din with P-pop groups, napakadami ng P-pop groups na very strong agad ng concept. I think we can also explore, but may mga groups naman din nag-explore ng fresh concept na tinatawag, yung medyo may pagka-bubbly. I mean, si Dr. Capistrano, I think may thoughts din dito. Following SNSD s, maganda rin kasi sobrang haba na ng career ng SNSD with their various concepts, di ba? Dr. Capistrano, any thoughts on this question?
Yeah, well, kasi it would probably matter on the audience, as audience na rin. Like harkening back to 2007 when Sonyoshide first came about. The audience was more attuned to yung girls going crazy over the oppas kind of concept, diba? Yun yung with the likes of Kissing You, diba? Yung girls generation, Kissing You, and G. Diba? It was all about swooning over or gushing over your oppa, right? So and then it was only later on during the careers, especially when 2013 came with Agata Boy, The Boys, diba? Which the mature even with 2010, but with Run Devil Run, we started with Run Devil Run, and then, but it only became the part na naging mature yung concept. Yeah. But on the other hand, look at JYP girl group Twice. Na rin na parang for the longest time they've kind of like played around with different facets of being cute and whatnot. They tried being more edgy, but still they stuck to their what worked for them. For Filipinos audience kasi, I think the fact that we are more, I don't know, vocal about such social, diba? Like social norms, diba? Like we're more vocal about, or we're more conscious about that. That's why from the beginning, edgy kagad yung dating nung iba. But I'm like just talking up. Yeah. So that, I think that's the biggest difference there, like in terms of the audience. Yeah. The audience for boy groups, all the more. But I've seen people like being like hardcore fans of like old groups. If you've seen Super Junior before and Super Junior now, or wag na lang yun, Big Bang before and Big Bang now, magki-cringe ka. Like you're gonna cringe at the early concepts of Big Bang. Even with Bantang Sonya Dan, admit definitely. So it can also flows with, like I said, it's gonna flow with what is the prevailing social norm of the audiences that would influence the themes of K-pop songs and K-pop songs.
The next question is, furthermore, since K-pop has resulted to an increase in popularity of the Korean language, will P-pop replicate the same result for the Philippine languages?
Oh, interesting question. I think let's make P-pop mainstream for now. Let's make it successful here in the country, diba? And after that, if we gain global recognition, regionally, globally, then perhaps other nations will be interested in the Tagalog language or in the Filipino language. There's one P-pop group, Alamat, who's using different languages. That's interesting for us. I mean, for example, me I only know Tagalog and a few, local languages here in the country. At least with Alamat, you get curious. What language is that? Iba-iba sila per group. Pero it's something to explore on. Pero once we reach that popularity regionally and globally, I think other nations will be interested also. That's it. That's the same with the Korean language. And not only with K-pop, you also have J-pop and some other musics na nagiging interested ka sa language because of music.
To Prof. Capistrano, does mandatory military service affect the actors' popularity, or does it further contribute because avid fans would miss them for a while and would anticipate their comeback?
Okay, off the bat, that would depend on the tier of the art of the actor. Like if it's a high tiered, if it's like a up tiered, like a up tiered art actor, then it would lean more towards the latter half of that question, that they would miss them for a while and would anticipate their comeback. Okay? The tricky part kasi then of military service and with celebrities, that there is a number of celebrities who get caught up in scandals, and then just to get away from the press, they would do their military service. Okay, that's the okay, that's the thing. So for example, like say, well, they are not actors, but more of idols. Like for example, PO and Ravi just announced that they're gonna leave their respective shows to start their military service. PO already started, okay, his military service. Okay, and so, but the thing is, like, since these two have like decent following, like decent to big following, then obviously the fans would really anticipate their comeback. Okay? But for the others, the lower tiered ones, like okay, and okay, at the risk of sounding insulting here, the nubus, okay, okay, there. I don't think so. Parang it's gonna be it's really going to affect the actor's popularity. It's really now, just to take that discussion one step further, no, what would be interesting to see would be obviously the effect. Okay, if especially, and I'm talking about also like for the elves and for the XOLs, wherein group dynamics, group schedules were really like messed up because of the mandatory military service. Like you nag-alternate sila, with all that. Okay? So but di ba, parang, and then comeback schedules became more disruptive. Okay, more disruptive. Vis-a-vis the ongoing debate whether or not Bantang Sonyadan will be exempted for military service or not. Okay, so the thing is, the problem is right now, especially involving Bantang Sonyadan, it's a political thing. And many army are like frowning down of you, parang using Bantang Sonyadan in the context of military service as a political tool to gain points with the public. Okay. So, yung pa yun, that's probably a third layer. Like whether they're gonna go for military service or not would definitely affect the popularity of the celebrity. For good or bad, okay, that's a different thing. Okay. So yeah, so basically just to answer the question, yes, it will affect. Okay, yes, it will affect. But it will affect, diba? Negatively probably for the not so popular ones, but super positively for the popular ones.
The next questions are anonymous from Menti.
Okay, a follow-up question. Okay. Well, with K-pop, this is an observation. Nowadays, nauuso na din some uh, K-pop groups. Napansin ko mas nauuso yung message to the fans.
Mm.
Mm. Unlike before, the topics are really, say, general. If it's a song about love, it will really revolve on love. If the song is based on, say, about actually it's really love. Majority of the concept before it's either teenage love or something na uh, they have this term. I forgot the Korean term. It is a love na one-sided, or it doesn't parang hindi siya umaano sa'yo na but anyway, nowadays with the lyrics, it's more like a message to the fans. It's like communicating to the fans. I don't know who started this kind of trend, pero I observe many groups na I can't fully say na it tackles social issues. But it's more like a message to the fans, tackling the topics, like communicating to the fans. With P-pop naman, napansin ko with the lyrics, and sa na-mention nga din ni Dr. Capistrano a while ago, na mas aware tayo with social issues and everything. Nandun din. I mean, not only with P-pop, but almost some of our songs. Sometimes it tends to be nationalistic. Sometimes it speaks about us being Filipinos. Kaya nga nandun yung pagka-Filipino-ness eh. Kaya minsan nata-term siya really as OPM because it's trying to send this message to tell more about being Filipino. Ganun ba? I think Professor Capistrano, baka may mga thoughts kayo with regards to lyrics of the songs.
Well, it still kind of depends kasi yung like who writes the songs. Because like let's say, di ba, parang like I'm not sure with P-pop. I haven't really gone deep into it. But say, di ba, parang for the big, especially for the big labels, they outsource the song production eh. But very few idols end up writing their own songs eh. But let's say for the exception probably of YG Entertainment, like they give lot of creative freedom for their artists to write their songs. Okay. But again, like going back to Bantang Sonyodan, kailan lang sila inallow na to pen their own lyrics, like to produce their own songs. But it was when they became popular. The early days, everything was outsourced, and all the idols would have to do is to show up, memorize the song, and perform it. Yeah. So I'm not sure about the like production of P-pop, like how involved are the artists are in the production, in the composition of the song. Okay. For that matter, a lot of the outsourced lyricists and composers are Europeans. Like I know for a fact, SM Entertainment scouts a lot of the European songwriters to produce songs for them. Okay, but let's say if it's like Korean to Korean or Filipino to Filipino for that matter, I think that would play an effect. Okay, as well. As well for that. And I'm not sure din, parang from what I've also noticed, like say from what you said na like those songs na ang lyrics are messages to the fans, the artists themselves are involved.
Correct.
In the composition. Okay, like again, going back to my own favorite, like Sailing. Yung Sailing ng Sonyo Shide. That was penned by Choi So-young herself. Diba? So siya yung nagsulat ng lyrics na yon. With that one. Yeah. So okay. There was a comment here like 17 is popular because they self-produce their songs. Okay, so I think I think that's the thing. If the idol isn't involved, it would probably touch on traditional themes, like mainstream themes. But if the artist is involved, then that's the time we're in. Fans, I mean, it would be more like messages to the fans.
The next question is from Menti. To Prof. Capistrano, what do you think of the Filipino adaptation to Korean dramas such as The Descendants of the Son of GMA? Do you think that they kind of destroy the imagination of Filipino viewers?
Oh God. How do I answer this without sounding so insulting? Yeah, I mean, I'm a little apprehensive when it comes to okay, and I'm putting it politely. I'm a little apprehensive when it comes to Filipino adaptations of Korean dramas. Especially like say in the scope of scale like Descendants of the Sun. Okay. Why? because there is such a huge disparity in terms of budgets. Okay, I recently contributed dun sa isang episode ng AHA with Drew Arellano like 2 weeks ago when he talked about K-dramas, and I mentioned like budget per episode, like it will run to the millions of pesos. Okay, it would definitely run to the millions of pesos. Okay, and I'm just talking about the whole thing, diba? And from what I've read, without mentioning names na lang, okay, like the second leads in the Filipino adaptation garnered more praise than the main leads. So that says a lot, okay, on the casting, diba? On the production, it's kind of like okay. So bottom line, probably we should. If they want to push through with this, if they're gonna want to push through with this, they could probably want to scale down on their ambitions and try to adapt more reasonable, like ones that doesn't require large production budgets. Okay, large production budgets just to keep up with that. Okay, like say for example, probably like the likes of 𝐊-𝐏𝐸, probably, or Hush. Okay, Hush, like those kinds of levels of dramas that they're doesn't really require much styling or much creative production, creative on that one. So yon. Okay, and then going to the other network, because there's an ongoing drama that's originally based on the BBC version, on the original BBC production of it, rather than the Korean one, in The World of the Married naman. Diba? So parang yun naman din yun. Like parang if they can go with those kinds of things rather than going all out with like Descendants of the Sun levels, yeah, that could be probably a more realistic, a realistic and a more palatable approach rather than going all out. Hindi natin kaya budget-wise, in other words.
Okay. The next question is an anonymous one, also from Menti. Hello, Sir Domingo. Based on your historical analysis, where do you see P-pop going or developing next?
This is based on historical analysis also of K-pop music. The other groups apart from SB19. I consider right now SB19 at the top. The other groups, they need to be more competitive. Competition breeds more development. If we check the many generations of K-pop, grabe yung competition talaga. You see, let's base it, for example, today, sa fourth generation, grabe talaga ngayon yung mga K-pop groups. They're competing with song production, music videos. Grabe din yung mga music show winnings. The fans' participation. At maliban doon, nauuso din ngayon yung may mga lore o may mga storya. Connected yung mga various comebacks na tinatawag o yung mga music videos. And kailangan mag-level up din ng P-pop. If you want to sustain that energy, kailangan ng other groups makipag-compete talaga. Kailangan makita talaga nila na kailangan namin matalo yung SB19. For example, this P-pop group, kailangan namin matalo si ganyan. They need to compete. And if we base it on, like I said, with many generations, naging ganun yung competition. Kahit ba sabihin natin may mga lagi nang nananalo with the music shows or lagi na lang may mga nananalo with the award shows, you see these small or startup companies, they're really competing. Nakipag-compete talaga sila. Before, it's really the big companies. You have SM Entertainment, you have JYP, you have YG. Then now you have Big Hit. Pero now you have small and startup companies. Talagang nagle-level up sila. Nakipag-compete talaga sila. And this is very helpful to the K-pop industries. And we can follow the same blueprint or the same path. You need competition for it to develop. Grabe yung popularity din because also of sabihin na natin with the pandemic or the lockdown, sobrang dami naging interested with P-pop. Madami ding nag-take advantage dun sa pagharap natin sa computer all the time or sa pag-YouTube or pag-YouTube natin. So dahil nag-grow din yung K-pop, nag-grow din of course yung P-pop locally.
The next question is from Andrea Dane Orok. The use of Korean history and culture in music videos and songs is popular nowadays. Do you think we can adapt the same with P-pop?
Yes, of course. We can have our own identity naman din when it comes to this. Bihira din for me, just an observation. Bihira pa talaga talagang nag-deep dive sa Korean history and culture yung mga music videos ng K-pop na yun. Siguro sa Philippines, pwede natin i-try. And katulad din ng sabi ni Dr. Capistrano, huwag tayo masyadong maging ambitious muna. Grabe yung production ng music videos ng K-pop. Hindi natin pwede gayahin agad yung ganong klaseng productions. Grabe ngayon pagdating din sa CGI, grabe na ang Korean pop music, yung mga music videos nila. So, huwag muna tayong maging ganun ka-ambitious siguro. It's also a good strategy. We can also promote our culture and our history with music videos. And I think may isang question din dito about analysis of music videos. Malaking factor siya, ang music video. Maliban lang dun sa music. Kasi ang inaabangan naman talaga ng stans, yung music video. 'Di ba? Hindi before sabihin natin may mga releases tayo na walang music video. Abangan pa rin naman natin 'yon. Pero napaka-importante sa K-pop music ng music video. Yan at yan talaga yung abangan. Siyempre gusto mo yung madaming screen time din yung bias mo, di ba? Or yung mga killing parts dun sa music video. Gusto mo makita yung bias mo or kung sino mang members na mas gusto mo bigyan ng screen time. Or kung ano man yung gagawin niya dun sa music video. Yes, we can explore on that. Promoting our history and culture through the music videos and the songs of P-pop.
Here's another question. Do you think we could also incorporate Philippine history with the dramas that we have contemporary instead of just sticking with the usual storylines?
I suppose that's for me, right? Why not? Like, yeah, why not? Okay, why not? I mean, let's go back. Let's go back to some of the dramas that they say incorporate time travel, like time travel and going back to the Joseon dynasty or stuff like that. Okay, so I mean that's one avenue that could be said, or for that matter, we can explore like more mythical ones. Like our own Philippine history is rich, is very rich with mythical creatures and fantasy creatures. Like if we can take off from 13, for instance. Okay, that's a good starting point. 13 was a good thing. Okay, 13 was a good thing. Like if you can start off with that, okay. Like and then off the bat, what I immediately think about is like maybe a Filipino version of Bulgasal. Okay. So that can be one, or like a Philippine, like heck, di ba? Inunahan na tayo ng mga Koreans, like incorporating Filipino elements in Sandal Chronicles, di ba? Yeah. And which season 2 is coming up soon, di ba? So yun pa. So why not? Di ba? Why not? Yeah, we have a very rich lore, and we can even go region by region. That's culture by culture, subculture by subculture. Okay. Yeah, and there's a comment now. Exactly, like if we can do what Encantadia did and level up on it as well, okay, and incorporate more of that, okay, why not? And, which is actually surprising. Why Encantadia and what was the other one before? Mulawin. Okay, like the one like Mulawin. Okay, and like adds our own twist to it, like same flavor, similar flavors with what the Koreans are doing. Why not?
We have enough time for last 3 questions. The next question is from Kiara. Sir Domingo, do you think having music shows like M Countdown and Idol Champ will help in promoting K-pop?
again, why not? We can explore on having our own music shows. But of course, yes, we're talking about money here, like big chunk of money. And of course, siguro kung may nakikinig dito from various channels, they will really milk on this. Kasi alam niyo naman, ang music shows, you have the fan engagement through voting. And yes, it can promote, but at the same time, again, we're talking about capitalism here. With maybe we can start one. Kasi I have observed na showcase na yung mga P-pop groups right now in ASAP, I think. That's a good move for ASAP to promote the P-pop groups. Pero iba pa rin, of course, yung music shows na meron sa Korea. And alam niyo naman, ang music show sa Korea is nangyayari siya from Tuesday to Sunday. Various different apps, talagang nag-aaway-away yung mga tao in streaming the comeback of in buying albums. Yes, it can promote definitely. Pero of course, it can also help generate the economy in hoarding these albums para mataas yung score mo in this particular music show. Again, madaming magiging involved dito industries. For now, we can explore muna talaga on making P-pop mainstream and popular here in the country.
Can I chime in on that as well?
Yeah. Please do.
Okay. Now, parang a caution lang kasi parang not many K-pop fans know this, but actually those who promote in music shows, in music shows, lugi sila doon. Like what they're getting paid for in terms of appearance fees to those shows is not even enough to cover the costs of going into that show and performing. Okay? Tapos ang ginagawa na lang hostage yan ng broadcast is that okay, you appear on our show, okay, we get good numbers, in terms of, especially sa YouTube content, but and then we'll make your idols appear in our other shows. So for example, let's say KBS, okay, mag-appear ka sa Music Bank, then we'll think about guesting you in 2 days 1 night, something like that. So yung yeah, and the problem is pa nga with actually Korean music shows, hindi sila pumapalo than more than 2%, 3% sa ratings. Okay, so with that one, so let's parang inano ko lang din, it might be a good idea, but yeah, the fact that the agency, like say probably 𝐊-𝐵T, would lose money if they go to the shows okay, and promote. What more pa with the smaller firms, diba? Yeah, and like Sir Zuria said, it's gonna take a lot of money and a lot of players to get involved here to make it sustainable.
Yes, Professor Capistrano mentioned about hostaging. I remember this group. I'm not sure if you're aware. I mean, sa audience din natin, that they want this group to appear in this particular show, in this particular competition. Then this boy group declined to appear in this competition. Then from there, the entertainment or yung mga groups no entertainment na yon, they were banned from appearing in the music show of that particular channel. So, yun yung mahirap dun eh. Pag pumasok na dyan yung mga channels natin in dictating the K-pop groups. Again, we're talking about money here. And isa ring issue dyan, for example, you have groups with 2 performances in one music show. We're not sure if that's the demand of the music show or the demand of the group to perform two songs. Pero mapapansin nyo kung sino talaga yung trendy, sino yung popular, minsan sila yung ganon. Again, it's a good idea, but masyado pa sigurong maaga if we someone can Mnet now here. Someone can Mnet here in the audience. Again, we're not naming any companies here. Pero I mean,
alam naman ng fans yan kung ano yung pinagsabi.
Yeah, like also that award show, 'di ba? Napakadaming issues talaga na pumapasok dito. I think we're not ready for that conversation in our own industries.
Now that's gonna be assuming that there's a lot of goodwill that's happening.
The next one is from Erica Debalucos. Hello po, my question is for anyone in the panel to answer. What is the most crucial thing that the Philippine entertainment industry should change in order for us to be able to keep up with the international entertainment scene?
Okay, so it's okay. I'm sorry if it sounds so capitalist and all that, but yeah. I mean, capital. Okay, the capital. Okay, just a bit of history. And again, going back to my favorite girl group. Per member, the cost to debut, the cost to debut Girls' Generation, but runs in the millions. Okay, and I'm talking about USD. Okay, like runs in the millions, and it took the parang yun parang if you really want to debut a top quality group, you really have to spend for it and take that risk. Okay, take that risk of spending money without having immediate returns. Yeah, di ba parang if you notice the early parts of the career of any K-pop group, bugbog sila, like comeback after comeback after comeback after comeback, because they're working to the bone to recoup all of that cost, di ba? And for that second thing, diba, one thing that's also parang medyo shocking to a lot of people was that when I described to them why are the contracts like that, like 80% sa kumpanya, 20% do sa idol group. That's in 20% na yun, divided by sa mga members. That's because the company pays for them. Okay, the pays for all of it, like yung living expenses, di ba? Food, utilities and whatnot. So yon. So it's risk taking. It really is a huge risk. The problem is, and I think there was a question here a while ago quoting Direct Joey Reyes. I've been with him in a couple of panels na rin as well. And that's also what he's echoing. Na sana magkaroon tayo ng a lot more risk taking and not always playing safe. Okay. Some of the bigger production houses do have the money naman do have the money naman to make that risk, Okay. And for that matter, it's also a challenge now also to the audiences. We're so loud on social media. Okay? We're so loud on social media clamoring for this and that. And yet, parang by experience, historically, what I've seen, you're lucky if you can turn half of that online clamor into profit, into revenue. Okay, into revenue. So yun naman din for that. Parang it's also like a challenge for the audiences, for the fans who are clamoring to actually follow up. Okay? To actually follow up on that clamor by what? By streaming the music to Spotify, or watching really pumping up the numbers on YouTube, buying the albums, downloading the albums from Apple Music or Google Music, whatever, diba? So yun yung that's the thing. So on the one side, on the production house, taking more risks. On the other hand, challenging the fans who are clamoring to actually follow up on that clamor and turn those social media numbers into real money.
Well, it's pretty much the same. Ganun din yung sabi ni Professor. Again, competition is very important. Competition among the groups, hindi lang basta competition within them, but among themselves. Kailangan din nila mag-develop, kailangan nila mag-evolve. Kasi minsan, ang nangyayari ngayon, kung mapapansin nyo with some groups, sabihin na natin na hindi man nagiging successful, is di talaga nakaka-keep up. Well, we're talking about money, we're talking about fan engagement. Kailangan talaga maging risk takers. And I think yun din yung success ng big agencies with their groups they're really risk takers. Kailangan din kasi talagang babawi muna ng hindi agad nababawi nga, di ba? Sinasabi nga nila, mahihirap muna yung mga K-pop groups pa nagsisimula sila. Talagang kailangan muna nilang kumayod bago mabawi talaga. Yeah, kailangan natin mag-risk in the industries. And of course, kailangan din ma-capture talaga yung fan engagement ng mga tao sa social media, everywhere. That's why P-pop needs to be in the television and in the radio. Kailangan siyang tuloy-tuloy na palabasin, kailangan siyang tuloy-tuloy na patugtugin. Ganun naman din nag-start ang K-pop with the TV and of course, the radio. Maliban kasi sa social media, sa ating mga may access sa internet, kailangan na sa radio din talaga siya.
Here's the last question. Can you recommend a project or program that the government can implement to help P-pop artists, their companies, and strengthen their industry in general? Thank you po.
Well, in general, the Philippine government is not very, say, ma-extend talaga ng help with culture, even with traditional culture, with, I mean, kami na lang ni Professor, even funding nga ng mga research na. I mean, we look for funding outside the country. We look for, private entities for funding of research. Just like any other industry, kailangan talaga mag-boost ng pera. I mean, Professor Capistrano, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's also true. Kaya like for me, diba? Like salamat 𝐊-𝐃𝐫𝐴. Okay. for providing the funding. And I mean the funding of 𝐾RC, a lot of it comes from Korean institutions then. So and yeah, that's something. But probably one thing is that at least immediately off the bat na pwedeng gawin, like now we're picking up on our tourism once again. And we know that Secretary Puyat is an army. Okay, she's an army. Okay, she's an army. Parang why not, 'di ba? Parang inano ko, 'di ba? Why not employ our P-pop groups as cultural ambassadors or tourism ambassadors for starters? I mean, at least in the immediate term, right away, pack, 'di ba? Yun yung pwedeng that's the thing that you can do. Like the next tourism campaign for the Philippines would involve not only, let's say, members of SB19 or BGYO or Kaya or BINI to appear, but even produce music videos, diba? Produce the next set of music videos on that, diba? On that. Na, at least in the immediate term, ganon. And then second, hopefully that bill that was passed by that bill that was pending in Congress on the Creative Industries Act, sana mapass na siya by the time Congress resumes after the elections, because that would give the legal backbone. That is, give the legal framework for it. I do have friends with the NCCA as well who are actively helping in the proposed IRR for that one as well. And then ang hope nga nila that by the time we have a next president, that would be tabled and a fully working Congress once again, that would be fully tabled and pushed through for that one. Kasi and then third, although one thing pala that I would like to to qualify here, and because this is being echoed by a lot of Korean professors as well. Okay? The Korean government plays a reactive role. Okay? It's not a proactive role. Okay? Like many professors in Korea, are countering that narrative and disagreeing with that narrative that Korean government plays a proactive role in promoting the Korean wave. Okay? That no, they're more of reactive role. Let's say the likes of Hybe and Big Hit when they push Bantang Sonyeondan out to the market, or with YG pushing Blackpink out into the global market. It was on their own. Okay, they were basically on their own, and the Korean government just sinakyan lang nila yon. Okay. So it's not the other way around. It's not the other way around. So parang yun na nga rin yun. Like, if the likes of 𝐊-𝐵T, 𝐊-𝐵T could really like do that, something like that, I think also like the Philippine government would also react to it, and hopefully would react favorably. Favorably. One more thing din pala is that yung yung Film Council of the Philippines actually has incentive plans wherein like if you shoot in the Philippines in partnership with like some international production houses, you get certain monetary incentives. It's a start. It's a start. But like Sir Zuriel said, money is really needed for this. Really funding for this is really needed.
To our speakers, do either of you have any final remarks or reminders for our delegates?
Okay. So, well, for me, as far like I'm okay. If first of all, do some mga questions like directed to me that I wasn't able to answer because of lack of time. Again, you can hit me up on Messenger. Okay, on Messenger or in Twitter. Okay, I've mentioned my Twitter handle as well. I'm more than happy to answer them offline, outside of this venue. But there's one thing as well is that for us is we appreciate we try to appreciate the value of technology. We try to appreciate the value of technology all the more in doing this. But kasi admittedly, a lot of us cannot afford, diba? As intensely as like the big fandoms can, with K-pop. So let's try to do the best that we can. Let's say if the content is available on TikTok or on TikTok or on iWant, on iWant TV or on I understand ABS-CBN has this app called Kumu that they're always pushing out there. Or let's say, or diba, better yet, YouTube. YouTube, like we can get, let's say, those streaming numbers up, diba? That's a way that we can promote our own and emulate what the Koreans have been doing. It's also going to be also a clamor for, let's say, partner telco companies, diba? For partner media firms like multimedia, print, video, audio and whatnot, to also do that. So it's yung appreciation of the value of technology for us as a tool to cost efficiently produce and distribute more content to emulate what we have done with K-pop and K-drama. That's something that we need to take into heart.
How about you, Steve?
Yes, let's support our local industries as much as we're supporting the K-pop industry. Like I mentioned in the lecture, both of them can coexist together. I mean, you can be a stan of, say, your K-pop groups at the same time. Give P-pop a listen. Let's stream. Let's stream the music video, stream Spotify. Minsan kailangan din ng engagement lang, kahit a simpleng like on Facebook, share. Let's promote these groups. Let's help them to be like K-pop. And so many learnings in this keynote lectures, of course, to Professor Capistrano, and for giving us the opportunity to share some new ideas and to learn more in the discussion. I mean thank you very much again.
Well, thank you to both of our speakers for today, and once again, thank you everyone for your questions. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for our delegates' questions. Apologies to those that we weren't able to read due to our time restrictions. If our delegates have any more questions that you would like to ask our speakers, you may send it to us so that we can relay it to them. Before we formally end our segment, we would like to call once again our esteemed speakers to be given a certificate of appreciation. First, to Sir Capistrano, the certificate reads, "This certificate of appreciation is hereby given to Eric Paulo Capistrano for inspiring their valuable knowledge and insights during the 2022 Philippine-Korean Youth Forum organized by UP Arirang and co-organized by UP Korea Research Center, Pinoy Scholars sa Korea, Association of Filipino Editors in Korea, Busan University of Foreign Studies, United Korean Community Association in the Philippines, and Office of International Linkages Diliman. Signed by the President of UP Arirang, Lady Hazel V. Penamora, and the Advisor of UP Arirang, 𝐊-𝐃𝐫𝐸.
Jesus ang name, kamsahamnida. Manager ko yan si Miss Be. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me, and thank you for listening and all the comments. Okay, the engagement in the chat box was so energizing. Okay. Thank you. Keep that energy up.
Thank you, Sir Capistrano. Next is for Sir Domingo. This certificate of appreciation is hereby given to Luis Zuriel P. Domingo for imparting their valuable knowledge and insights during the 2022 Philippine-Korean Youth Forum organized by UP Arirang and co-organized by UP Korea Research Center, Pinoy Scholars sa Korea, Association of Filipino Editors in Korea, Busan University of Foreign Studies, United Korean Community Association in the Philippines, and Office of International Linkages Diliman, and the OVCAA of UP Diliman. Signed, given this 22nd day of April 2022, signed by Lady Hazel V. Penamora, the President of UP Arirang, and UP Arirang's advisor, Dr. 𝐄𝐻𝐳.
Again, thank you very much for the invitation, and I hope we can have more discussions like this. I mean, I'm really looking forward to be with Professor Capistrano again in some panels.
And that wraps up our program for tonight's first keynote lecture for PKYF 2022. We hope that all of the delegates, especially those in the arts and media track, were enlightened and gained something from our speakers. Quick reminder that tomorrow, April 23, would be the plenary sessions and workshop for the delegates in the arts and media track. Kindly message your respective group facilitator in your GC if there would be any questions. Thank you everyone for attending today's keynote lecture. Happy dinner to those who have not eaten yet, and see you all tomorrow!